Welcome to Goalie Science, the podcast that bridges the gap between goaltending, science, and peak performance. I'm your host, Jamie Phillips, a former professional goalie, currently pursuing a doctorate in physical therapy and specializing in goalie performance coaching. Joining me as always is Dr. Ben Cernick, a seasoned goalie coach and sports analytics specialist. Whether you find yourself at home, on the road, or at the rink, grab a cup of your favorite beverage and let's drop the puck on this week's episode. Two.
Jamie, it's happened. It's our 1 year anniversary. We did it.
Podcast number 52.
Yes, we did it. It's been a year. We haven't found ourselves upsetting everyone yet, which is huge. Honestly, NASA, some are saying. So
some are saying, I'm sure we've upset a lot of people.
Tons of people.
I have been blocked by like a surprising number of goalie coaches. Only one of them have I ever gone after. The other ones were just kind of like, I took
bullets.
Stray bullets. Yeah. Where it's like, hey, when someone tells you these are the secrets to NHL goalies, and I say, hey, there actually are no secrets, it kind of ruins your whole like marketing strategy that you kind of put in.
Yeah, I'd say I had one person send me something one time. They're like, hey, is this true? And it was like someone being like, minus your age, you're 5 years from like the age you think you're going to be able to pro. And if you're not doing a certain point at like 16 or 17, you're never going to make it. And I was like, oh, I don't know about that one. That's Connor Hellebuck got drafted in his post-1 draft year out of the null.
Well, so did I, and he was drafted before me in the same draft.
Yeah, which is actually a hilarious thing that I don't think he was 5th round, right? So the Jets took a goalie in the 5th and the 7th round, which is
4th. Was he 4th or 5th?
He made it 4th. I should know this. I should know this, and I don't.
Yeah,
I think. Still crazy move. 2 goalies.
Crazy move. Yeah. So, like most podcasts, Ben and I did not prepare a single thing. Actually, no, we did. We usually do.
I did.
We text and say, "What do you want to talk about?" And then Ben gives an idea, and then usually I say, let's go with it, because I haven't thought very hard about what we're going to talk about. Or if I have an idea, I usually text Ben on like a Monday, and we record on a Sunday, and then I forget over the course of the week what we're going to talk about.
It's true. But Jamie, this time I text you, and this time you remember. And we want to do on our 1 year, 52nd episode here, we're going to do things over the last year that have not changed in goalie world like we wish they would have. Things that I would have liked to have seen in the past year change.
Okay, well, I'll start because I screen recorded a clip that who gave up the goal? Let me find it. It's on my phone. I screen recorded a clip, and then I need to break it down. And you know what? Maybe this will be an Instagram breakdown, which I don't do a ton of anymore. Because those are reserved for patrons on my Patreon, by the way. So if you're not subscribed, it was Conor Bedard.
Oh,
so Conor Bedard had a hat trick in the Young Stars, his rookie. Are they in Does Chicago go up to Traverse City?
I don't know where it is. The rinks give me, fourplex vibes though. Like watching the clips from the games, it looks like they're in a community center. So,
as a pseudo Michigander, Traverse City is just unbelievable. So
is it?
Oh, it's, you know what it reminds me of? It's very much like a Penticton, like the Okanagan area, just unbelievably beautiful. Less mountains, obviously, but like wineries, like vineyards, good weather, kind of in like a bay sort of area. So yeah, it reminds me a lot of Penticton. But anyways, Conor Bedard scored a goal, and I have it on my phone. And again, I can't show it because then we get demonetized. And if I want to get Ben on the payroll, we have to make money somehow. He is scoring a goal from just outside the dot lane, maybe about 4 or 5 feet under the dot, 3 or 4 feet above the bottom of the circle. So kind of like in that middle between the bottom of the circle and the dot. And the goalie is in RVH, and he gets beat far side.
It's a good RVH. Let's put that out there. It's an awesome RVH.
Yeah, the RVH itself's a good. The save selection was very bad.
bad. Like,
And so, and you know what? He's a kid. He's a young kid. He's at least 18 to, well, I don't know. I kept going to development camps until I was like 24. But anyway, let's laugh with me. Pretty sure I have the NHL record for most development camps. I wish better decisions had been had when it comes to RVH. And it seems that actually worse decisions are being made over the course of us doing this podcast, which either goes to show that no one listens to our podcast, or our impact is very minimal.
Yeah, and so I actually got in a discussion on the website formerly known as Twitter about this goal, because there are some people who were in defense of the goalie's read, being like, oh, they thought he was going to crash lower, but like they thought he was trending towards the goal line, so the goalie wanted to get in the RVH quickly, or oh, he wanted to give himself a chance on the shot and the back door. And that's fine. I appreciate people trying to, view things from different ways. But like if a puck is at the circle, like the faceoff dot, and trending towards the goal line, you can sit like in the middle of your crease in an overlap and be square to the puck, and also make a small, I call it like a soft release, where you kind of just do a little pivot butterfly into the person who's like in the clip. There's a forward who's like middle crease, like not back.
Yes,
he's just like in front of the net. And it's like, so I would call that like a soft release. Some people might say it's like a midline release, because it's not middle to outside, which is a lateral release. And now we're just getting the stupid goalie terms, but I call it like a soft or a midline. Like you could have just pivoted and butterfly and probably made that midline save. So it should have just been an overlap. But I agree with you. I wish the RVH discourse, which we are a part of because we're doing it right now, was just simpler and smarter.
Well, it's actually gotten a lot dumber.
I agree.
Because now we have discussions of putting your glove on the ice when the puck is, and like that kind of stuff. And so in my mind, we're actually regressing. And I think my opinion of a lot of this regression comes from, again, because of social media, everyone is trying to like do something special and get clicks and likes. So if you have something new and exciting, it is going to get likes and shares and discussion, but it doesn't always mean it's right. But I don't know how anyone would say that he was thinking that he was trending downward.
It's not. It's just a mistake by the. It's all.
Yeah, it was a bad read. So disappointed that RVH has tended to trend backwards in development. So I'm curious to see how the NHL does this, how the NHL goes in terms of RVH this coming season. I'm sure that they'll be fine because they're the best in the world at it. But junior hockey and minor hockey, make smart plays. Listen to the Goalie Science podcast.
I think one thing that I want to make really clear is that anytime an RVH goal goes in, it's often a misexecution. Very, very, very rarely do you see an RVH goal where the goalie plays it properly, like timing-wise and positionally-wise, and the puck just goes in. Like very, very rarely.
Yeah, it's either the wrong save selection or the wrong time.
Yeah, and that's like, and I would say that, and like, or poor execution, right? Like, there's a clip I always show, as part of our hockey camps when we do video sessions, and it's like a goal where Connor McDavid drives the net and like goes from along the goal line to behind the goal line, and Tristan Jarry reaches out of the net with his blocker, and McDavid banks it off his back. And
I've used that clip for teaching points as well.
Yeah, because it's the classic, right? Like, don't leave your post in RVH. It's a waiting position, not an aggressive position. And there's times to be aggressive with your stick, but not when the person's coming at the net. That is not the time to
don't try to block a pass when the player is in the corner and he can pass through literally anywhere on the ice.
I agree. But yeah, so just keep in mind, like, I think, again, RVH is a good save selection.
Yeah, I love it.
Revolutionized goaltending. Every time it is used wrong, that does not mean the RVH is bad. It just means that goalies use it incorrectly. Sometimes because they're humans, they make mistakes.
I say this all the time. Sometimes, like, goalies get beat 5-hole when they do butterflies. Does that mean the butterfly's bad? No, it means you were too late or your knee was off the ice or something went wrong. So it's just another save. It just tends to be, executed poorly quite often. So that was my first grinds my gears.
Things that wish would have changed. We're just saying things that you wish will change moving forward,
Next year, when we do this podcast next year, episode 104, where hopefully we might probably repeat the same things. But Dad, what has been your biggest pet peeve over the past year? A thing you hope to change come this next podcast season?
Jamie, I'm going to hit you with a real hot take. I am officially over the goaltending size discourse. I'm over it. I'm over talking about how tall goalies are and how short they are, because I think it is a cop-out in every direction.
Yes.
I think, and you have some goalies I know that you coach who are not that big and who are excellent goalies and have probably been passed over for some size reasons. We have a couple goalies, same thing, excellent goalies, not very big. And it's used as a crutch, where it's like that is a reason why they don't want that goalie. He doesn't take up enough net. And that's where, if that is the only discussion point or the only critique of a goalie, that fundamentally means that you haven't evaluated the goalie. Being small is not a problem. It's not advantageous. It's not like I'm not sitting here being like, boy, I wish all my goalies were 5'8". Let's make that very clear. But it's also not a good enough thing to say when you're evaluating a goalie that, oh, he's too small to play. No, the critique should be he does not handle high shots well enough. Like, he does not track pucks well enough from a distance and gets beat on too many clean shots. Because that's what I think people are trying to say, but they're not. They're just saying they're short. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I have so many like hot takes to your hot take too, just because like it's not. I might have to use this for like the classic like thumbnail like triggering hook, but I think that a lot of coaches out there, goalie coaches, just kind of use the small goalie as a cop out because they don't want to change their coaching style. They're very married to the way that they like to coach because they've had success with other goalies. And so if a lot of your goalies are taller, and then you get small goalies, but then you're like, no, you have to play at the top of the crease. And all of a sudden, you can't do that with a smaller goalie because they actually, I told us to a goalie, and unfortunately, I got to work on my way to word it because the buy-in wasn't there. He's a smaller goalie. He actually has to play deeper. Then the taller counterpart. He actually has to play deeper. But so like,
I agree. I want to talk about this.
Yeah. So like, I think that's a cop out to like a lot of things where it's like, if you have, I think it's a lot of younger goalie coaches that are starting to like, that are very like just dynamic about their coaching, but it's a lot of the old guard who are like, nah, this is the way it needs to be done. And this is the way it was done before. So that's the way it needs, like, we need to keep doing it. But if you're a small goalie, the thing I've been telling my small goalies, and I just be like, you just need to be better. Like I wish there was other things I could tell you, but you need to be better and smarter, better at everything and smarter at reading the play than your taller counterparts to make up for that size difference. And that's just the harsh reality of it. Just like, I mean, I can't go play in the NBA. I mean, I'm 6'4", but like, I don't have any skill. I'm horrible at basketball, but like, I'm still pretty small in terms of NBA standard. Like, if I wanted to go ball, like, I'd have to be very, very good at everything.
Right. Yeah, I think this is a really interesting point. Gonna shout out one of my junior goalies who's 5'8" on a good day. And he is extremely well. Like, one of the best things that he does, I'm super impressed by him, is how he manages his depth when reading the play. And we've talked about this in a previous episode. So if you're wondering why we're talking about depth management as the immediate response to reading the play, go listen to that episode. It's about depth, something in the 40s or late 30s, right? But that's one of the ways goaltenders read plays is adjusting depth dynamically as a play develops. And yeah, so smaller goalies, because they might have to beat the play on their feet more than sliding in stuff, they might need to get themselves set more, might need to actually give up depth and play a little deeper so that they can cover less distance, right? And now I would say most smaller goalies, you're going to have to be exceptional skaters. You're not going to be able to get away with being an average skater and being really small. It's just sorry, it's the way it is.
If you want to play at a high level.
Yeah, if you want to play at a high level, obviously. But yeah, that's like one of the big things where it's like, yeah, actually just don't panic if you're 5'9" goalies in the middle of his crease. Sometimes that's a really good place to be. And again, there's no like dislike or liking of the idea of box control. Box control just is what it is, right? Like the relative distance to the puck and where you are. And yeah, it's not like good or bad. It's just the thing that exists is box control. But if you're someone who looks at that stuff a little bit closer, and I don't think a lot of coaches who aren't in the goalie world do this because they're probably never even heard of that term, but you'll quickly realize that yes, the net's 6 feet wide, but yes, it's not really that far to ever reach something, even if you're a small goalie in the middle of the net.
And are you playing on your goal line at all the time? Are you playing on the goal line the whole time? If you're not, the net's actually not 6'4".
Yeah, exactly. Right. So it's like it really isn't what it is, right? It's literally the only time the net appears that way is if you're standing on your goal line and the puck is far away, right?
Directly in the middle.
Yeah. So anyways, the point being is that I wish we would move away from short goalie bad, not because I think we need more smaller goalies that are going to make the NHL, just that I think the narrative around it is unproductive. And I also, on the other end of the spectrum, am really tired of tall goalie big or tall big goalie good.
Tall goalie is big. A tall goalie's large, yes.
And again, shout out my other junior goalie who is 6'6". And it's great that he's 6'6". He moves really well for a 6'6" guy. But it's also not automatic, right? Like, and it's funny enough, also working with him on making sure he plays deeper too, right? Because there's been a narrative for him about getting out and taking away the net. And it's like, whoa, let's pump the brakes on that a little bit.
That's why I'm excited to like work with younger goalies, because I can explain these things as the first time they're ever hearing them.
Yeah.
Rather than having to be like, well, my other goalie coach says I need to be a heels in the white. And like, well, yeah, but I'm also beating you every time backdoor because you can't get there. So maybe, just maybe, we adjust our depth depending on the play in front of us. Let's be bold here. I don't know, hot take. Do I have any other? Oh, I do, but yeah, another thing that I hope disappears. I hope the discord around laces versus bungees goes away. We did talk about this on a podcast, and then again, like we use science. We use some science. Essentially, it really absolutely doesn't matter. It's whatever you are the most comfortable with. The fact that if you say bungees add more torque to your ankles versus a skate lace, one, okay, prove it.
Yeah.
And two, it doesn't, even if like when Ben and I tried, or Ben did, I've actually mostly Ben, just like actually looked in some of the force vectors and stuff around it was negligible to no difference. So it doesn't matter. Like it actually doesn't matter. So you do whatever you want. Also, like I've seen goalies on take this so literally, because you'll have like goalie influencers be like, you gotta have 17 knots in your legs. If you don't have a full fist between your boot and your skate, you're not gonna be able to play. And now I see some goalies, their pads are just dragging on it actually hurts their skating ability because their pad is just so loose. They have no ability to react with the boot or anything. I hope that dies and never comes back, and everyone just is okay with it being like, it's just, I don't know. I like bungees. I like laces. Cool. End of story.
We talked about this in another episode too. So if you want the breakdown behind some of the size fine goalie equipment research, you can go check.
I think we titled that one, "Is Your Equipment Hurting You?"
Yeah, and you should go back to this one. I really like that one. It touches on some really cool research by Ryan Frayne, who's a very smart goalie person. But there's the discourse around that is dumb. I think I said in the episode too, I relate it back to the same thing that we know about running shoe research, which is that if you're a professional goalie, the number one thing you should care about is performance. It's the number one thing you should care about. That's the same thing with professional marathon runners. Their shoes might hurt them for all 26 miles, but if it gives them an extra minute off their time, they're going to use the shoe that hurts them. Or also, I should say.
Like a lot of, I don't know, I got really blurry all of a sudden. Also, a lot of marathon shoes, like professional, like high level Olympic marathon shoes, are only good for one race.
Yeah. Right.
So it's about $500 on a pair of shoes for one race. But like, again, if you're an Olympic quality athlete, what's that? What is it? Goldmans Paradox?
I don't know,
man. But like, let me see if I can find it without slowing down the flow of the show.
Well, I'll talk while you Google here, right? Because I mean, I think like the basic idea is like you gotta, for goalies, there has to be a mix of comfort and performance, and it should not matter what anyone else says. unless what your equipment choice is doing is hindering your performance. And an example of that is goalies who wear their pads too tight. That's probably the one thing that I'll say is, especially a lot of younger goalies wear their gear too tight. Your ankle needs to move freely in your pad. That's just the way modern goaltending works. If you're a person who's, back to our first topic, using an RVH and using it at the right time, if you don't have enough gap between your pad and your toe, you just won't be able to toe, like pad seal the post. And so your equipment's slowing you down. But it doesn't matter if you're using bungees. It doesn't matter if you're using toe ties. It doesn't matter if you're one of the younger goalies who use that as that little bungee hook thing that I actually don't really like at all. But
I do not like that.
I don't like them either. But as long as you feel comfortable and it allows you to perform the way that you want to perform, that is what matters. It does not matter what any Instagram influencer like Jamie has to say.
I am. You should always take what I say with a grain of salt, except for most of the time because I'm usually right. Because a lot of the things I say aren't opinion. They're just like usually science and math. And then when I say it's an opinion, I bet it. But it's Goldmans Dilemma, not Goodman's Paradox. Goodman's Paradox is from the apparently strong evidence that all emeralds examined thus far have been either green or made not to conclude that all future emeralds will be green. So not of that, something to do with induction. But Goldman's Paradox, or Goldman's Dilemma, excuse me, is that basically he asked a bunch of athletes if there was a drug they could take that would guarantee overwhelming success in the sport, but it would take 5 years off their life. They'd die after 5 years. Would they take it? And like the vast majority of like Olympic level and professional level athletes said they would take it. Now, that just goes to show that like when you are at that level, the mindset is a very different. It's a very different mindset than you take when you're going. You're a younger athlete or you're trying to get to that level. And so if you're gonna run and you're an Olympian and your feet are gonna basically fall off after the course of running a marathon, people are willing to sacrifice that.
Yeah, so I agree. I think we should have less silly, like fear-mongering equipment stuff and more positive recommendations for people to try stuff that might help them do things, right? Like imagine if the recommendation was just like, hey, bungees might be able to help you exit your post from an RVH easier instead of laces. I have no idea if that's true either. We can test it. Like that's literally testable with science. I don't know if that's true, but that is what we got with conversation.
It would be.
Maybe I thought I was gonna guess. The only thing it would depends is like how much tensile give there is in like a wax lace, right?
Yeah.
Versus, how much stored energy, Jimmy, potential energy, right?
Yeah, it would be potential energy thing
or elastic energy. Sorry.
Well, it would be potential versus elastic in both. But anyways,
yeah,
as
that's
4.0 college physics, whatever. My grind my gears one. This is a problem that I kind of had, and I didn't actually solve it until yesterday, but it cost me money to solve it, which sucks. Is I think we should do away with GoPros, and I'm going to say this, and hopefully GoPro reaches out to me and says, "Hey, you're wrong," and sends me a bunch of stuff. But so I've been having a ton of problem with GoPro. And also might be because SanDisk, who makes memory sticks, is also being sued for like basically just having like trash memory sticks. But by GoPro, recording consistency is very poor. Like it doesn't record, it doesn't save quite a bit. And then it saves in separate, like multiple files instead of one long file. And that is annoying as someone who needs to put like all these clips together. So what did I do? I went on the internet and I bought a couple used old iPhones, and I'm now using multiple iPhones instead of GoPros. So shout out iPhone 7. Because I could airdrop everything to my computer. I don't have to upload it with these stupid wires. Which means I have to carry around less things. And it also comes across in one file footage. And say what you want about Apple, but when it comes to video stuff, they're very consistent in its quality. And as long as I charge my phone, I don't have an issue. So I hope GoPros are on the out note. I'll be honest. And you know what? And someone's gonna be like, well, what about behind the net? And you put it on with the sticker, the suction cup thing. Well, I bought one of them for my iPhone. and it's one of the ones you put on your car. And I use it.
And so this segment is potentially brought to you by Apple or GoPro. Reach out to us. Now back.
I actually much prefer Apple sponsor us, because everything I own is Apple. And I'm not as extreme sport. But yeah, it is a nuisance that all the files in a GoPro come across in If you record an hour-long session, you have 5 different file formats. It's dumb. Why?
Jamie, make sure you edit this part out when we get the show uploaded. Moving on.
No.
Final segment, final thing that I want to talk about, Jamie. Something that we've already kind of alluded to, but my gripe that I would wish would change, and I wish the discourse would improve, is the conversation we talked about before about depth and goaltending. I am sick and tired of being sick and tired listening to people talk about the goalies need to be more aggressive. I'm over it. I did think in the year 2023 we'd be past the conversation of people saying that goalie needs to be more aggressive, but I think it stems from the 90s, and it just is here to stay. It's permanently. Goalies need to be more aggressive than the rest.
As long as you have people who are not goalies announcing and talking about goalies and needing to say something about goalies, that will always exist. But even to say, like, if you think, like, could you imagine like Kevin Weeks on a Sportsnet panel or NHL panel and having to explain to everyone why depth isn't important? Everyone would just turn their TV off.
So I was thinking about this a little bit earlier this week, and take with a bit of a grain of salt. Like, don't, it's not a very literal thought, but it's pretty close to being literal. But very, 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 very early in my entire playing career, my entire coaching career, have I been like, wow, that puck wouldn't have gone in had I been out another foot from my net. I don't think I've ever thought about a goal that way, or at least very, very, very few.
I don't think so, because
there's other parts where
it still would have gone in usually.
Right, that's what I mean. Like, unless you're sitting, both pads in the net, and there's a person in the middle of the slot, and you stood in your goal line, and then the person put it like 1 inch beside your shoulder, which would have just hit you if you were out more. But there's just very, very few situations where like a goal isn't solely goes in or is directly gone in because of a too deep situation. And this is not the argument to play in your goal line and stay in the middle of your crease. It's not what we're saying. But very rarely is that situation, again, there's a goal going in because the goalie's too deep. It's normally they've mismanaged their gap. Normally they're too aggressive most of the time, right? So I'm curious on your thoughts. Like, do you think that's even going to change?
Well, you know what I'm going to say. And I'm going to obviously agree with you. I don't think it's going to change. It's just it's an easy out. It's just like the rebound control, which was all last episode. It's an easy out for like commentators and stuff to say like, oh, come and cut down the angle. Or if you're just like, if you're an 8-year-old goalie and you don't actually have a goalie coach on your team, like your head coach is also your pseudo goalie coach. They don't know anything about goaltending, and they'll be like, oh, just come and cut down the angle. So that's what I've heard. So I don't think that's ever really going to change, not unless everyone listening likes, subscribes, and shares this podcast to the entire hockey community. I don't think that's going to change. My last gripe is customizing your stick. Doesn't matter. Again, it doesn't matter. It's not going to improve your ability to make saves. It might feel more comfortable, so I'll give you that. Find it if you really want to chop and hack away at your stick, go ahead. But it's not going to make anything better when it comes to saves. It will make you feel a little more comfortable. It also might cost you $300 because you ruined a stick.
Right. What are your thoughts? Have you seen these? I just recently started seeing them more and more. It's like this like foam or rubber block that sticks out from a paddle about an inch.
Oh, paddle block.
Paddle. Yeah, or
paddle wedge.
Literal name.
That is too. I don't know wedge and paddle block. Yeah, I think it was paddle block sent me some. I like them in practice. I put them on my practice stick. I'm a big fan.
What does it do? Why do I not?
It prevents the puck from ramping up your stick and like squishing your finger on that one. So it happens maybe once every couple skates, but on the one time it does happen, it is like really nice to have. So So shout out to the paddle
Shout out
block.
paddle block.
Shout out paddle block because I'm a big fan of that for like practice sticks because I did not like getting my finger squished like that.
No, it feels terrible, especially because you already feel a little bit sad that you ran a puck up instead of like, you're already disappointed in yourself. And then you're like, oh, on top. It's like, it's so funny. I was on the ice today. We were doing just like a warm up, just movement tracking drill, just some like 5-hole stick save stuff. And a person just full ramped the puck right into their own cage. And like, we've all been there. We've all done it where we ramp the puck along the ice directly into your own face. And that is one of the worst feelings. Because first of all, you just hit yourself in the face. And second of all, you made a bad stick save.
Yeah. All right. Well, to finish up, we'll do a couple rapid fire back and forth things that just generally grind our gears. Could be hockey, goalie wise, or otherwise, but we have no explanation. We just have to say what it is, and we'll say 3 each, and then we'll come back at the end. All right, so bad. Just give me something that grinds your gears.
Goalies who are exceptional down skaters, so really, really good moving around in a butterfly, but cannot keep.
Goalies who refuse to change their stance, even though it is obviously a detriment to their game.
Yeah, that's a big one. I mean, I know we're not allowed to talk about it, but I'm going to steal one which is in the exact same vein. I think we are too liberal. This is where we can play. I'm not going to add more, but I think we allow goalies to hold their glove too many different ways. I think there is, in fact, like 1 or 2 ways that are better to catch puck with. It's testable, but
that might be an episode in itself. That might be an episode in itself.
Okay, what part of that one for later?
Okay, trying to think. I'm trying to think. Goalies just refusing to lift weights,
Yeah,
and get stronger.
Also in season. I know you were going to say in season. I agree.
Both in season and out of season. Both in season and out of season.
Is that Ryan Miller's fault? Is that because there was like, not his fault, but the media's fault when they were like, Ryan Miller only weighs 150 pounds. And now it's just like a bit of thing that goalies.
I actually know. I know whose fault it is. We're not going to talk about that because pretty sure I'm blocked.
That's fine. Yeah.
You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, of course I know exactly what it is. Jamie, last one, and this is my hottest take, I think, of the day. I think goalies' ability to play the puck is so overrated and unnecessary. I don't think we need to, I think you need to be competent, but I do not think it is a separator or divider in goaltending at all.
We should do this all the time because these are good podcasts. We're sort of safe. We're not gonna. Like I said, we're not gonna expand upon it because these are good. These are good podcast episodes in themselves. And I'm gonna finish this off with my biggest pet peeve is people not being subscribed to my page.
Wow, there it is.
Because I was just thinking because I'm looking at your stick in the background. As we're watching on YouTube, we both put sticks in the back of our rooms because my room is very. Also, you know what? If you're watching on YouTube, appreciate this. I live in this old Victorian house because I rent one of 9 rooms from a couple of really nice old ladies. And I really kind of wish I had a cool podcast studio like everyone else on the internet. But they're expensive. Because maybe
get there.
Essentially, my goal would be to rent a 2-bedroom place. And I live in one of the bedrooms and I put an office in the other. But let's not get... In this economy, are you kidding me?
Yeah, let's not get carried away. That's actually my final thing. My biggest complaint from our last 52 weeks doing this is that I am not on Jamie's payroll, and I just can't get on it until you subscribe to his Patreon. So this is your opportunity. This is your chance to go check out Jamie's Patreon. He does a lot of really, really good content that you don't get to see on his social media pages. Things that look like practice breakdowns, game breakdowns, group meetings and video sessions. So I am a shill. I'm a Jamie Phillips sellout, but I think he is one of the best science and goalie communicators out there, and I'm happy to be able to do this with him every week, even though he forgets that we're supposed to do it.
I appreciate that, Ben. I don't forget. I just don't text you sometimes. You know what? Thanks for everyone in all seriousness, thank you everyone for listening, watching. Over the course of this past year, this is only year 1, and hopefully this is just goes on forever because I can't see it stopping. It will only stop when we stop coaching, and I don't ever think I'll ever stop coaching. Um, I really enjoyed all of this. I meet a lot of people who say they listen to the podcast all over the world, which is like really, really cool. So thank you. Thank you guys very much from the bottom of my heart and the bottom of Ben's, who's like the Grinch, 2 sizes too small. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment. Honestly, sharing and just like sharing, talking about it. And, you know, if you're a parent and you have a head coach who doesn't get goaltending, tell them to listen to the pod, because we kind of also hope they listen to the pod so that we can advance goaltending as a whole.
Yeah, and if you're an organization listening and you want to have us put on a goaltending development clinic for coaches and organizations, we do those. You can reach out to us. Our emails and our contact information are always available in the show links.
Absolutely. All right, Ben. Well, you know what? I should have wished we got, you know, more people subscribe to Patreon. I could have got a cake and we could have celebrated with, like, I want to like balloons in the background, but
you know, like the streamer guns where they're like the fingers of the. I was kind of hoping I could have dropped those. Yeah, but I didn't. I was on the ice earlier this morning, so
I was working all morning. I do video breakdown. I do a lot of team video breakdowns, including some pro teams, my EGM goalies, and then a couple of junior teams. And I coached this afternoon, so I did not have time. But Ben, it's been a fun year. I'm looking forward to this next year, because season starts soon, and that's going to give us even more stuff to talk about.
Oh, I'm excited, Jimmy. But for now, until next time.